All right, we are here with another episode of Cowboys Experience brought to you by Law Nation Sports. And, hey, I got a wonderful guest today, and his name is Cory Procter, man. Thank you for jumping in today.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. This is good.
Yes, indeed. So what you been doing?
What am I been doing?
Yeah, since you retired from football, right?
Well, since I retired from football, lots been going on, right? My wife and I, we have 2 kids. We have a 7-year-old girl, Grace, and I take her in the weight room to lift with me because I need her to be able to rip the balls off some dude that wants to rub up on her. You know what I'm saying?
well, I'm like-minded too. I got 2 girls.
You got okay.
Yeah, I figured if I kept trying, there would be another girl, so I stopped.
Sometimes God's like, you're too much testosterone. I need to soften you up a little bit.
Soften you up just a little bit. Yes, indeed.
And then we got our 2-year-old boy Hank.
Oh wow.
He's a monster. He's awesome. But he outrides in the grass in the backyard with his little Jeep all the time and likes to growl at lizards in the backyard. But we live here in DFW, and after football, I started up a company called Pro Capital Wealth Management based off my story. And why I started that was basically I got sued in high school. I rear-ended a lady.
Wow.
And my junior year of high school I rear-ended her.
Right.
She ended up filing suit against me. Well, the Suburban was in my mom's name, so my mom, my stepdad got the brunt of that, and was not a good deal, right? So when I came into the league, super cautious about that.
Right.
And so that ended up being the premise of my business, was essentially to protect somebody's life or assets from judgment and lawsuit or any potential train wreck that could take place. So usually, if you're somebody who builds up a base like that, you're worried about it going away, not necessarily trying to make more all the time. So so it's been really, really good. And then my wife is an attorney, and she kicks ass where she's at, and I love it.
What's the name of her law firm?
Well, she works with Davidson Law Group here out of Dallas, Texas also, but she's an estate planning attorney, does estate planning, probate, and elder law. And that's why I say I don't marry just for looks, man. She's
married for the brains.
She looks good and she's smart. So.
That's a good thing right there. So speaking of all of that, what arm of financials do you do then? Like, do you do any investments or just that part of it? Yeah.
So. My primary thing my first look is to look at any potential holes in somebody's plan. Right. What I saw coming through the league and even outside of that was, as a player, you get approached a whole lot about people about investments and a lot of different things. And what I saw was most asset managers starting in with the money, they don't go anywhere else.
Right.
And that's great. It's important, right? Retirement planning. Any investment selection, all that stuff is great, allocations. But, if there was an event that could potentially wipe it all away, it means nothing. And so I saw a whole lot of messy planning going on. And so that's where God kind of turned something bad into good. And that's what I built the premise of my business off of. And so I'll create comprehensive financial plans it's typically for athletes, professional athletes, and wealthy families is where I stick.
On the professional side.
Yeah.
Well, that's
and so
good.
that's what my company handles. So I have a team of people underneath me that I've hired to take care of all the work in the business.
Right.
And it's been a powerful thing because I've had a lot of good people in my life.
That's good stuff right there.
Yeah.
Hey, Financial Way. I've been listening to Financial Peace University.
Oh,
Dave
yeah.
Ramsey, the snowball effect, paying off all of the student loans I had and everything. And, that's a wonderful thing. It's always making sure that you're financially equipped. But, hey, guys, check out Cory Procter's business there. Can you tell people where to find and follow you at?
Sure. You can go to procapitaltx.com, TX is in Texas. Go check out the site. You can follow me on Cory Procter at Cory Procter on Instagram or Twitter or Facebook, all that stuff. Stuff is good, but go do your own digging, research it a little bit, and see what you like.
Most certainly. I'm going to touch a little bit on football. Is
Okay.
that okay with you?
Yeah.
All right, so you said that you played guard, swing guard, and a little tackle. Is that correct?
Tackle in college, but
College, yeah.
when I was in the league, I was a swing guard and center.
Swing guard and center. I was once told the center is the hardest position to learn. You touch the ball 1,000,000% of the time, right? You don't look at the ball at all. You touch it 1,000,000% of the time. How difficult is that task for Tyler Biadasz in this particular offensive line?
Not everybody can pick it up.
Right.
Oh, in this offensive line?
Offensive line. Yeah, the Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys offensive line. It's all Cowboys country over here.
I don't think there's an easy center position to be in. Right. Any position is not easy, but what the center has to be aware of, a lot of people call it the quarterback of the O-line, right? Or the second quarterback, something like that. But everybody's got to be on the same page with the O-line, because if they're not, we could have 4 guys doing everything right, one guy who's on the wrong page and blow up an entire play. Right. And so, it starts with the quarterback. He might identify a Mike or a guy on the defense who we base everything we do off of.
Right.
And so after that is when the center comes in and starts making calls. And so based off those calls might affect what the guard and the tackle do. So, it can be complex.
Right.
But anybody could learn it.
Yeah.
Everybody's, their learning speed might differ, but it's a lot to handle where the guys who are good at it, they can process the front, process what's going on with the plays, process what's going on with the quarterback and the snap count all at once. So you could be making a call and snapping the ball all at the same time.
All at the same time.
To get on everybody.
With the double A gap and everything, especially with the center.
Oh, yeah.
And when you say a swing guard, that means you played right guard and left guard,
right?
So with that being said, we got a guy, a rookie, Tyler Smith. Yeah. I know you heard of him, 6'4.5", 335 pounds, give or take. Do you think that it's best for him to be at guard or at tackle at this point, coming in rookie into the league?
Well, I think they wanted him to be at guard, right? So he was going at left guard, doing a lot of reps there in camp, and with him to be the future at tackle. So the general idea there is like, hey, let's get a guy who's inside in traffic, maybe has some help on either side of him before we put him on an island out there.
Right.
And so I think that's what they're trying to segue into. Well, obviously – that got thrown into the mix real fast.
Baptized by fire.
Oh, man. But I tell you what, I've had some time to hang with Tyler a little bit.
Oh, wow.
This he's from here, from Fort Worth.
Okay.
Loves his mom, loves his family. And he's relatively new to the O-line. I started in college, right, in Tulsa. But this kid's smart.
Yeah.
And I appreciated his respect for guys that have been down the road ahead of time, but you see on film, you see he's raw,
right?
But you see his attitude, and I tell you what, like that means the guy can take some coaching.
Right.
The guy's got an attitude that he'll stick with. He has natural feet and capabilities to stick on a player. Not a lot of guys have that because he'll have moments where his hands will catch up with his feet, right? Like you saw him have some holding calls early in preseason. But if he can get his hands on a guy, you might have poor feet in a situation, not necessarily saying he does, but an O-lineman could get in a bad spot with his feet and his hands save him.
Oh, wow.
And so his ability to stick on a defensive player is pretty powerful and go finish that. So I like him.
This is some good information. Hey, we didn't know that you knew Tyler Smith, and this is wonderful to know that his feet, his hand placement and everything, and he's smart and cerebral enough to hold, throw him in the fire, throw him in the deep end. The thing is, the $100 million question would be, we got Jason Peters now, right? He's been playing in the league when you was in the league, I believe, right?
Yeah.
So what would you do if Tyler Smith is playing good to great? Do you move him back to guard and insert Jason Peters, or you just keep him in that learning phase as that left tackle?
Well, so it depends on the guys. I think right now, from what it looks like, they didn't necessarily want to start him at tackle immediately, but that's where it happens. Now, some guys could be, you're talking about baptized by fire, and all of a sudden this guy goes and kills it what you want, right? And that's my full expectation from him is that he will do it. We're going to have rocks along the way.
Right.
I think what the insurance that Jason Peters brings to the table is if something doesn't go right or maybe horribly wrong, in the first game or two games, You can move Tyler to guard.
Right.
Jason come in easy at left tackle, easy plug in, and be an excellent veteran guy who can speak to him, right? While Tyron's rehabbing and basically maybe not in the room all the time, but Jason's a guy that can come in and like just listen. I'm going to talk to you. Right. This is what I love about this guy like him, and where I've been similar in my life. I might be new in the room, but I'm going to find the best guy who's in there, and I'm going to mirror him, right? Mirror.
Yeah.
And that's what, from what he told me, that's what Tyron is, right? That's what Zach Martin is, but especially with Jason Peters' guy, come on, that's what that guy is.
Oh, wow.
And so he's got so much wisdom and experience in the room that he can tap into, and I'm going to cling to that and copy you, and eventually that molds into my own.
Yeah.
And so that's what he's doing at an early time that's going to be super powerful in his career.
Man, Cory, man, that is unbelievable information, Cowboys experience. All you got to do is come out here to these events, and you can get a wealth of information just like we did today.
Sound good. All right, Cory. Listen, Cory's a part of the Gator crew.
The Gator crew?
Should we show him?
Oh, yeah. Come on. I got to bend my legs up here. Look at that. Come on.
Come on.
That's the Gators right there.
Crew. Listen,
that's
Texas
that Cayman,
thing.
right?
That's a Texas thing. All right, so here we go. So I heard as much as I could because it's loud in here, but obviously the Cowboy Nation want to talk about Tyler. Now, I don't know how much he dug into this, but I know I preach on my channel cross-training.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
So you will believe in cross-training?
100%.
Okay, because, see, when I watched the Dallas Cowboys, what it looked like to me, Cory, and I want to get your analysis on this, it seemed as if they cross-trained the backups, but the guys, to me, that needed to cross-train it doing training reps are not getting it. And I heard Mike McCarthy even say yesterday that he believes cross-training helps all offensive linemen.
Now, when you mean cross-training, what do you mean exactly?
So what I'm saying is, like, for instance, Tyler Smith. So they had him playing 60% tackle in OTA or minicamp and 40% guard. So to me, it seemed like they made the executive decision that they wanted him to get his foundation at guard, but they didn't give him any reps at tackle in training camp. But to me, I didn't really get that long-term, well, short-term, long-term. It looked like they were trying to do it around mid-season. They didn't expect Tyler to go out, but to me, I was saying that they should have been cross-training him at least some, giving him some reps at tackle so he wouldn't have 0 reps like he has now going into his first game.
Okay.
So I want to get your overall opinion of that theory.
Well, so when I hear cross-training, I think like cross-training like in your training modalities, not necessarily practice, but like playing a bunch of sports. That's what I think of, right?
I'm talking about tackle.
Now, yes, generally speaking.
Okay.
So your backups have to be. Your starters don't. You want them to specialize.
Right.
And so if you want to be good in the league, so this is why a lot of guys are calling like, why don't we move Zach Martin to left tackle? Right? No, you would never do that. Why would you take a guy who's playing right guard for his entire career and move him to such an make it such an extreme move and put him in the way of injury potentially, right?
Facts.
And so wouldn't do that because it's a totally different movement scheme in your body. And now with the backups, we have to do that.
Right.
It's just part of the game. We can only dress so many, and we got to have other needs at other positions. And so you have to do. But I'm a big fan of it, especially as we're new coming in. Now I see a guy like Tyler. When you have a first-round pick, you kind of want him to specialize one
thing.
And with that kind of investment, you want to maximize.
Yeah.
The guy. So like if I can have all your reps at one position,
right?
The potential of you grasping that position faster is going to be a lot better, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that's probably what was happening with him.
No doubt.
And on top of it, now you'll get some teams that will lean because he was tackling in college, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, well, I know he played 4 years, so at least he has that, where we'll start him at guard. And they'll kind of think of that cross-training in that sense, too.
Right.
Where, like, he's got years there already. Let's try to get him some experience here first, where he has help on both sides potentially before we put him on an island against a Von Miller type guy, right?
Yeah.
Where it's a different story.
Totally different story. So because I watch certain teams, and certain teams even have done this with their starters. Obviously, you can't do this across the league because I think you have to have a special talent to even be able to play both. Like, there are some people that's prototypical guards, in my opinion, and prototypical tackles. So you have to have that Ryan Ramczyk type of guy, that Lyle Collins type of guy, that Tyler Smith type of guy, right, to where they really do have the raw traits to potentially play both. Now, one of the things I wanted to get kind of your crystal ball on, what do you think is getting ready to happen with Tyler Smith? Obviously, him not getting the reps at tackle at training camp. What is your crystal ball going to say, especially having league experience? How do you see the next 3 games playing out for him, especially 3 games?
3 games?
Yeah, I'm saying 3 games because I'm thinking Peter's going to take about 2 to 3 to
right,
get in there.
To get the offense down. Yeah. No, I agree.
Okay.
Here's what he needs. Anybody new who's coming in, rookie, backup, anything they knew. I don't know what the schematics of the game plan are going into this game. But what he needs is extra insurance around him to keep his confidence strong, right? This guy's got great confidence coming in. But what you don't want is the wheels coming off, affecting his confidence now, and all of a sudden we're in this panic mode, trying to get a guy in or try somebody else or do it. Now we're just fumbling all over ourselves, right? And this is where I hope what's going on with the coaches is, if I were the coaches, this is where I'd be. I say, okay, let's get this guy some tight end and running back help in the passing game. Let's slide to him, get some guard help potentially. Let's set up some looks where we're going to make sure he's not by himself all the time. And if that puts more pressure on a right tackle who's been practicing this whole position, the whole camp, that's what I'm going to tell you. If you're my right tackle, right, I'm going to say, look, it's going to put more pressure on you, but we need you right now.
Right.
And if you've been in that position, you'll be like, I got it. Right? Okay, Let's do that and keep Tyler's confidence strong and make sure you start inching off of that a little bit, that crutch, so that, okay, now we got a handful of one-on-one reps in the game, and we maybe, if like that went well, we repeat it and expand it just a little bit in the next game, and the next game. And then eventually you have the leash off,
right,
where, all right, brother, we're going to play, and we got all our tools, right? Man. And so that's what I would do if I were the team. I expect Tyler to do really well. That's my expectation, just from knowing the guy. But I don't know. Like, you just never know what's going to happen until you get in the game, right? But, like, what I want is the Cowboys to help him along. I want the offense we need that help on that side just to secure him. That's it. And then once we have that secured, we get some good drives in us, you start letting off that pedal a little bit, and you're going to be okay, just for him.
It was 2 players I also want to get your opinion on as well that stood out to me. I'm very high on Steele.
On who?
On Steele.
Steele, okay.
I'm high on Steele. Like, I really broke his tape down, all his pass pro, all his run blocking for the games that he played. And I thought he was actually the best run blocker on the team, even over Zach Market, in terms of dominance and just opposing his will. Now, some people might not agree with that, but to me, I believe I saw that. I want to get your opinion on Steele. I also want to get your opinions on Collins.
On Lyle?
No, Avion.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Have you really broke him down? Have you
I haven't broke them down near as much because I haven't spent time with them.
Okay.
And so, but just from the minimal amount that I've seen, I can't tell you much about Collins, but what I like about Terrence, and I don't know him personally, but what I like about Terrence, I like seeing the way they've worked him into the game plan in the past. I mean, look, he's almost, why am I blanking on his name? Left tackle, Donald Penn.
Yeah.
He's almost like Donald Penn. Donald Penn was out there catching touchdown passes his whole career, right? It shows you what kind of athlete that guy was.
Right.
But if a guy can go do that, to me, that's the cross-training thought process is like, if you have a whole athlete over here who can do that, that's going to translate other places on the field. Yeah. And so, to me, it's a matter of coaching then to make sure that we maximize that kind of athlete.
Right.
And a lot of people, this is where it's interesting, the dynamics of the game is a lot of people will put like, well, it's the players that go on the field. They're the ones that play. It's on them all the time. Yes, you're right. But there's an equal portion of this pool right now of performance. And I always think of like Alex Smith, the quarterback, right?
Yeah.
He spent like the first 4 years of his career in San Francisco, had a different coordinator, different coach every year, and was not living up to what the expectation was. Goes to Kansas City with Andy Reid, who's First comes Jim Harbaugh, who's a big quarterbacks guy. He does well under him. Then they had to switch to Kaepernick. And then he went to Kansas City with Andy Reid, another quarterback guy, and flourished. So I say that because coaching matters just as much as playing.
Yeah.
And if I got a player who's trying to fit a mold to a coach who doesn't fit, he's going to be trying to do something that's not necessarily part of his skill set, right?
Right.
And we saw a little bit with the coach who came from, I forget his name, came from Cincinnati for like 20 years and was here for a minute, a couple years.
Paul Alexander.
Yeah. Great guy, great coach, right? But
good teacher.
But the players that we had here didn't fit the mold that he wanted.
No.
And so didn't hit that Willie Anderson type mold.
Right.
And so where we had like more smash mouth type guys, when Colombo took him over, it fit the scheme.
Right.
So that's where let's scrutinize both sides of it. But that's where I'm interested to see how Tyler will play out and with all these guys. But if I have a good coach paired with a good athlete like Terrence Steele, that's pretty potent combination.
Yeah, because, I really, really broke him down, and I heard a lot of rumors like he got a lot of help. I didn't see help. I saw one chip from Zeke, and it was an extra chip. It was one of those, because you're free meat. So, no, I'm really impressed with him. Now, I want to also, since you're talking about coaching, get your opinion on filming. Because the fan base, they split on filming. I actually like filming. I think filming is a good coach. I feel like filming was put in some bad situations, especially when his first year, his most veteran offensive lineman was Connor Williams. He had to go out there with Brandon Knight and a rookie undrafted Steele. So to watch the formation of this offensive line on the film, and I don't feel too bad about him, but I wanted to get your opinion of what do you think you're seeing in terms of the offensive line under his leadership.
To be honest, the jury's still out a little bit, in my opinion. And so, like, I've heard some different guys like Duke Manyweather share his opinion on that. And so, like, I saw Philbin come into Miami after I left there, not by choice. But Miami is where athletes go to die. If you didn't know that, that's where my funeral was head for, NFL player. But I see some of the things. I think I watched the Hard Knocks with Philbin in it.
Yeah.
And I saw his demeanor, and it was okay to me, right? Where offensive line is like it's a different position, and like there's a lot of finesse, but you can overcome like bad play potentially with some really awesome attitude, right? And so like that's why Colombo did so well taking over for Alexander. He was a go smash mouth, like punch you in the mouth kind of guy.
Wow.
And where it messed up, I remember like Alexander's coaching, and I'm not meaning to bash on him at all because he's a great coach, obviously been around for a long time, but like his approach to Tyron Smith screwed up Tyron Smith.
Yeah.
Right? And Tyron's like, he's got 3 sets. He's got vertical, 45, and a flat.
Yeah.
And like that flat that jump set is potent if used in the right times.
Yeah.
It screws guys up.
Right.
And so, but Tyron used it like money.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
And so if I can get on a guy fast or use that as a part of my repertoire, that's a big deal. And so that jury's still out on Philbin because I haven't seen a whole lot of his stuff, but I've just kind of seen his demeanor. And so I'm like, meh, I don't know.
Right.
And so I can't go speak directly at it, which is probably not what you wanted, but
no, I mean, I just wanted to talk to a pro, played the position, played multiple positions, tackle guard, so whatever I can get and glean from, I'm going to definitely try. I want to talk about one more thing, and thank you for your time. I don't want to go too far on my time, but I do have one more thing on the offense.
Okay.
So, Kellen Moore.
Yeah.
So, in my opinion, I really know that his offense is potent. Obviously, number 1 in yards, number 1 in points. But I think it falls flat in big games because his system, from the way that he said it, basically takes what the defense gives.
Yeah.
Which allows also the defense to dictate where they want the ball to go. I think it's a fallacy in his offense a little bit because I think in his offense that when the games are tough, the formidable opponents, I think you have to go after your stars. You got to go at the guys that are paid the contracts for the big moments. But our system is not built on that. You heard Dak say it. You heard Kellen say it. You heard Jerry said to where there's no stars. Matter of fact, Will McClay said there is no stars on the offense. So I want to get your philosophy on our offense and what do you think can make us better and make us more potent in big games?
Man, big things to me. Like, generally you want to take what the defense gives you, right? But you can't lean on it forever because eventually it's going to flip to just one-on-one, and we got to win that, right? Now, that's the game has shifted over the years, but things that I think about that are really powerful are you remember how Peyton Manning, Reggie Wayne, and like their whole receiving course used to be out pregame running routes, balls and routes all day long. And so they were working on the timing. And so, like, you saw what the game Thursday night with some of the missed catches for the Rams, right, where all of a sudden things got disrupted and that timing was disrupted where they weren't able to make some of the plays they were normally able to make.
Right.
And so I think with the Cowboys, if for the offense, if you can get that timing, it doesn't necessarily matter what the defense gives you, right? Yes, there's times where, like, you're going to give me that, I'm going to take that freebie all day long, but it doesn't matter if that safety hangs in the perfect position and my wide comes, my X comes and makes that seam at the most perfect step, and we've been over this timing thousands of times. We've hit this run and pass all the time.
Right.
Because if you hit that in stride like you've done it a million times, it doesn't matter if they're playing good defense. And I don't know if they do that necessarily. Right. Honestly, I don't think a lot of teams do.
Right.
Because guys like that who practice that day in, day out. Who's the old D tackle from Minnesota? The big guy, 90s.
90s?
Oh, man.
He asked who was the D tackle for Minnesota?
Big.
In the 90s.
Big guy. Oh, man.
He asked me about 4 trivia. I got 3 of them. Now he done went too far.
John Randall. John Randall. So, yeah. John Randall was a guy, he used to come out pregame and beat up the goalpost for like 30 minutes an hour before the game would even go. So he'd be drenched in sweat before he'd start warm-ups. Right? And so you think of stuff like that where these guys that just work on their craft, like, and it's not like, hey, I got to get 1,000 reps in. I'm in here loving what I do, making sure I got to get this timing route where I have so much confidence in it, it doesn't matter what he gives me.
Right.
It's going to happen.
Got you.
Right? And so I don't think a lot of teams practice that. I don't know if Cowboys do. I don't think a lot of teams do. They practice it in practice. They don't necessarily have it rep after rep after rep after rep after rep, where it's just built into you.
Muscle memory.
Your muscle memory.
Yeah.
And so if they can do that, mimic that, that's where I think you'll see those big plays.
This is absolutely my last question. I promise you. What's your gut feeling for the season for the Cowboys? Make a win-loss prediction, and then a final prediction if you predict playoffs.
Oh, I predict playoffs for sure. Okay. Right? Now every team is different. So, like, there's always this hesitation on the first game, like, what do we actually have? Right? And so, and then with Tyron going down, that was a massive blow where you're just like, crap, the season's going down the drain. But if they're able to patch that correctly, right, what I expect, then I fully expect a 10-plus win season, playoffs, and having a real go at this. And if we can stay healthy, that's the key of everything. And if Tyron can come back and do some things, come on, that's going to be like an added fire.
Yeah.
And I always have faith.
Yeah.
I am very much a glasses half full kind of guy. But you can't get me thinking down about something. It's not a matter of if, it's when. And there's a lot of people like to down on Cowboys for this stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I'm sorry, this attitude got me to where I'm at today.
So I'm not changing.
So,
1 + 1 is 3.
Yeah, exactly. 100%. Yes.
Say y'all got to get that. Shout out to Uncle Jerry. So I really appreciate it, Cory. Amazing interview. Thank you so much. I do believe that as well. My philosophy is, if you get in the playoffs, you just got to be hot for 4 games. That's how I see it. And the Cowboys have been on hot streaks for 4 games. So it's just to me about getting in and being hot.